Hey, good morning everyone, Tractorman 44 here. Hey, you know what? This time of year there's all kinds of things you have to work on. Just everything, stump grinder to rototiller to lawnmowers, riding lawnmowers, push mowers, chainsaws, everything under the sun. Because you know what? It's time to do all that kind of stuff. So if you notice, back behind me I got a Troy-Bilt Bronco CVT drive or automatic transmission. It's very similar to a CVT drive, but we'll look at that in a little bit. But anyway, I've got it up here on the lift. And I guess you guys remember when I did the video way back a long time ago on those ramps that I actually put onto the lift to make it workable for working on lawnmowers, four-wheelers and things like that. Well, this is one of the typical things that we use it for. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and do a video on changing the belts on the actual final drive or the main drive belt, and also the belt that actually runs the pulleys and stuff that makes the deck go. Replacing these belts is something you can probably do in your driveway, but it's so much easier if you happen to have a way to get it up to where you can work underneath it. I've got it up exceptionally high right now so I can run the big tractor underneath, but if you take a look up here you can see it looks real complicated, but once you get a few things out of the way it becomes a little more understandable. But now that we've got the deck off from under it, it's very simple to remove the deck. There's nothing but two pins, one little cable that connects it, and also the little bracket that comes out of this guy up here. And you can have the deck out literally. If you do it once or twice, the third time you do it, you'll do it in 35-40 seconds, literally. Now the first order of business is go ahead and remove the battery. There's a little retainer clip that holds the battery in place. Remove that battery, and then this battery container right here, the battery box, should be able to be popped right out. There we go. Once you remove the battery box, then you're able to see a lot better what it is that we're going to have to do. When you look down the inside here, you get a bird's eye view of what's going to have to be done. This pulley right here, this large pulley, has to come out because that's the one that the actual automatic transmission drive belt drives off of. So this belt here is bad, so I've got a replacement belt for that. This over here, this one here, can stay in place. I believe that's the CVT or the automatic transmission. By CVT, I mean it's like a constantly changing or varying the size of the pulley, so increase and decrease depending on how fast you want to go and how hard you depress the go pedal. Now up here you see that shiny bracket. We'll get to that in a minute. There's a big heavy spring that attaches from there in the end of the bracket all the way over to the left hand side of the machine that you have to remove because you just can't hardly work with that on there. You can see the condition of the belt is exceptionally bad. So let's go ahead and get a few wrenches. I think this is a 7/8 right here. We'll go ahead and take that off, that little retaining nut, and that pulley should just lift right up off of there. That's a 7/8 nut down there. Now if you just turn it, it's going to want to spin and spin. So stick a screwdriver or something down in there to kind of put a little back pressure against it. And this little butterfly, 3/8 butterfly, should pop that out of there. I know not everybody's got a 3/8 butterfly, but you can get a cheap air ratchet at Harbor Freight. So that just comes off pretty easily. And this guy here, it's actually got a fitting on it. If you notice, it's got a 6-pointed star, and there's a little adapter down here, or a little fitting that you don't want to lose that matches up to this guy right here. Just go ahead and pull it off just so that you know that you don't want to lose it. And it's also a splined component too. Right now is the time when we have to remove that spring. That's something I can't even get the camera in there to get it off, but I'm gonna go ahead and get that spring off of there for you. There we go. That's the spring that has to be removed. That's about a 5/8 inch diameter spring, and it's stout. So you really have to pull very hard to the left-hand side in order to remove it off of that bolt that's putting the pressure on this guy here. If you look very closely, you can see that shiny rod coming in from the right-hand side. You can see I'm moving it right there. I took a welding rod and bent a hook in it, and I'll tell you why. Clamp onto the end of it with a vice grip so you can get a good grip on it, and you can remove that spring very easily from outside the right fender well. I can't do it with one hand, so I'll be right back. And just that easy with this hook bent on a welding rod, a long rod, as long a one as you have, and vice grips, you can just pull that spring right off of there. Here it is right here. This is a stout spring, about a 5/8. Now we can just pull that belt off. This original belt, it's pretty well dry cracked and everything, you know. That'll be replaced. Next, we can get the CVT or the automatic transmission drive belt off. That's a little more difficult. I could just cut it Probably ought to. I think I will just cut it. Of course, it's easier to get off than it is to get back on. Here's part of it. But at least it's ready to come off now when we raise it back up and ferret the new belt in. There's a few things we have to do up underneath in order to get the new one, to get this off and get the new one in. Already blew tons of stuff out with the compressor. But as you can tell, it didn't blow enough. Anytime you're dealing with multiple pulleys, make sure you take note of how the belt is wound around. Now this is going to be your clutch. This side here is going to go straight, and this side here winds around. And don't be afraid to go ahead and draw you a little drawing with a magic marker right here where you can see it, because sometimes you get months in between projects and you just have a devil of a time figuring something out when you get back to it. What we have to take off, we have to take off this guard right here. It's 1.5 inch bolt right here. It looks like a 1/2 inch. Drop this guy off. It just goes in a hole over here. We'll take our socket, put on here. This bolts right into the end of the crankshaft. This will drop down, and then the pulley is going to come. The belt is going to come right off of the pulley. I think it's a 5/8 right here, so we'll go ahead and pop that loose. Okay, it's ready to come completely off. There's your little butterfly again. Save your bolt. There we go. Now we can pop the crankshaft bolt out of this. This should drop right straight down. There we go. Here's your belt here. Well, they don't like to make it easy, do they? Just for the record, do you think the belt is bad? I'm absolutely certain this is also the original belt. Got all the good out of it though. Okay, so I'll probably put a little anti-seize on this guy here. Put this guy back in. This should be a keyed. Yes, it is. It's a keyed shaft. I couldn't see it. It's back here in the back. There's an indention on this guy right here. It's a built-in Woodruff key, so to speak. They just kind of stamped that in there at the factory just to give you enough pressure to hold it into there. But yeah, I'm going to put a little anti-seize on that when we slide that back in. Where do we get the new belt and slip that in there? Now you saw how thin that belt was when we took it off. And if you take a look at the new one, you're going to see how much thicker this is in appearance. Well, that other one was worn exceptionally bad, of course. Now, you think, how's that going to get on this little skinny pulley? Look up there at that pulley. See how skinny that pulley is right there? It goes into this drive slot right here. Well, there's no way this is going to fit that. Okay, but remember, this is a, I don't know if CVT is the proper term or not, but that's an infinitely variable based on centrifugal force, I am thinking. And so if you look, this guy just raises up. So now see how nice and wide the slot is? It'll fit down right where my finger is and wrap right around this guy and then sit down snugly. So that's what we're going to do right now. Unfortunately, I can't be in here and the camera can't be in here at the same time. Okay, now one thing that I should have told you beforehand, because this belt is so huge and it's very not flexible, there are 3 cap screws or 3 bolts through the frame of the tractor that bolts this CVT assembly or this variable speed assembly in position. The heads are on the outside of the frame. They're the only 3 10mm bolts right in that area. And when you loosen those bolts, don't remove them, but when you loosen the bolts, that allows this thing to flop down. When it flops down, it allows you to get all the clearance necessary to get that thick belt in to this assembly. Now, once that's in there, and you can see it's in, now we just tighten these guys right back up, and you're ready to go ahead and fit it in the rest of the way up to the front. Now, to make sure we have slack on the belt, you can see I've got it all the way up here to the crankshaft. I didn't wind it through the idlers yet. That'll give us enough slack to do what we need to do. Now remember, I put anti-seize on that. I put a little bit down inside here. And remember the indention. The indention is your Woodruff key. There's your slot right there. So that has to go in line with this. There it is. Now we have to get this forced inside enough to where we can go past the guard as it raises up. Once it raises up, we'll take our bolt with fresh anti-seize on it, stick that right into the end of the crankshaft and snug it up. So the next thing we have to do is route the belt through the idlers. It's actually got to go around the back side of this guy here and the front side of this guy right here, so that when you engage your clutch, that'll put pressure on it. Should be able to make this guy go right in there. There should be just enough clearance to make it go in without doing any damage at all. Okay, so there you go. That part is ready to go. Okay, so here we are back down in underneath the battery box. And remember the drive pulley? Have the drive pulley. First thing that's got to go on will be our spline shaft with the star bushing. This guy will go right down on there, or very close to it. We'll thread the belt around the whole assembly. Now we don't have to worry about putting the belt on. We'll go ahead and get this in here first because we've got our idler up there that we've got to deal with. There we go. These are fine thread shafts on this. You have to make sure you're even all the way down on those splines. I'm going to hit that real quick with the impact. Now we got to go around the idler shaft up there and then reinstall that spring. Okay, we're down to reinstalling the spring. I don't know that you're going to be able to see very much, but I'm going to stick this around the far bolt, and then this will hook right into the spring, and we'll pull it around the retention bolt and then pop this guy out. We got it, just like that. Now our spring is in there. Now you got to have a good grip and be ready to get a pinched finger if you try to do it, with just your fingers. I mean, you can do it. You just have to have a good grip. 10 years ago, I could do it pretty easy. Next thing, we'll drop the battery box back in. Battery in place. Put your positive terminal on first. I'll tell you why. If you put your negative terminal on first, and then you are putting the positive post on, you can create some sparks and everything. But see, everywhere else is grounded, so it doesn't really matter. Grounding to the frame with the other wire doesn't matter. But if you had the ground hooked up and you were actually moving this around and you bumped into a piece of metal, bumped into your spring or whatever, you're going to arc and spark, maybe put some stuff in your eyes, whatever. So put your positive post on first and you'll minimize that or eliminate that potential. If you have corrosion and stuff on your terminals, you can mix some baking powder, the Arm & Hammer baking powder, and you can get you an old bristle brush and clean that up, knock that off of there. It'll neutralize all that and let it fall right off. Another thing too, of course, if you touch your wrench to ground while you're on the positive post, yeah, it's going to create some sparks too. Negative posts don't matter. Now again, this is an 18 horse Kohler powered Troy-Bilt Bronco automatic transmission. Well guys, you got to remember, I'm not really a mechanic, I just kind of work on a whole bunch of stuff for different people. But I hope this helps you if you have to change those upper and lower drive belts on your particular lawnmower. Others are similar, but they're not always identical. You just got to look and you got to figure out what it is that you got to do. But the main thing is making it convenient for yourself. Now this would be a devil if you had to do it in your driveway on the gravel or even in your garage on the floor, because so much of this stuff you have to do from the bottom side, and you just can't hardly see and you can't hardly do it adequately unless you have it up in the air like that with the flashlights or a drop light or whatever, And it is a little confusing if you haven't done too many of them. I've got the blades. I took the blades off, sharpened them, balanced them, put them back on. Everything is lubricated. Everything's ready to go. And that is all there is to this one here. This Tractorman 44. How about here, guys?